I had a neighbor that brought me a rocking chair to be repaired. Eventually one of the joints failed. Uh, After I started examining, I thought it was going to repair just a joint with the new dowels because it was put together with dowels. But after examining, I found out that the top dowel failed because of the joinery at the chair box. It was broken also, and it was just held by some staples that people that did the latest upholstery drove through the wood, further damaging the joint on the chair box. So let me show you what happened. You can see here where the leg falls in, and if I take the leg off, you'll find out that one of the dowels that was in there broke off right here, and the other two dowels that goes into this part of the rail, they're there, but the rail itself failed. It's cracked across the two dowels, and it's go across the top and across to the top and across to the side. In fact, they put so many of those staples that the wood crumble. And the same thing out here, although it's better. The joint in the back is okay. The glue failed, but the dowels and the wood is still okay. So to be able to fix this, I will have to replace this side rail on the chair box. So for that, to replace that, I had to remove and strip the upholstery and replace and repair all of the joints and re-glue all of the joints in this chair. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to contact the client because he wasn't ready to reupholster this chair. It looks like it's been reupholstered just a few years ago. But unfortunately, it cannot be fixed without removing the upholstery. So that's where I am. I'm waiting for the customer to come by and look at the damage on this chair, because most likely these produce that damage, or vice versa. You know, it's the damage on the here and the here, on the handle, on the handrest is related. So there we are. So we'll see how we fix it. If I'm going to be able to fix it without removing that, because I can't vouch that that's not going to fail again in a few months, you know, and sitting on this chair. Well, I just taken all the pieces apart of the chair and remove the upholstery and remove all the pieces that were loose in the chair, and you'll find out there's a lot of problems like these in the chair. What am I going to do now is cut a notch out here and replace this piece of wood and then drill for a new dowel. So that was the first thing to do that I'm going to be able to do. So I'm going to do it. I already set up the fence. I'm going to cut that notch. So to replace this broken wood, it's impossible to glue. It's not very much material left out here. So we'll cut it off and replace it. Ash, make sure it goes parallel to the grain, install it the same way. I'm going to get a little bit of the polyurethane liquid glue. This is special glue. It's activated, made by Tybone, and it's activated with moisture. So I'm sure that this type of epoxy glue. It's a much stronger bond than the regular carpenter's glue, wood glue, or carpenter's wood. I sprayed it on both sides of the piece. I want to make sure I cover or whatever it is that I do. And then this thing gets activated with moisture, we said. So I'm going to spray just a little bit of moisture in there. I put it in there and put the clamp on. Now this glue cures a lot faster than regular glue, so you cannot be monkeying around with this. And expands, and when it starts curing, it bubbles up quite a bit. So you leave it. They said the clamping time is about 2 hours, but I just leave it. I'm not in a hurry, so I just leave it alone for a while. So, to these, I don't know what kind of wood it was. It's just kind of hard to tell. But it's some kind of a dry wood, a hardwood, and it's very old and very brittle. So I install a piece of ash on that notch. Then after the glue is all dried up and cured, we'll reshape these to conform to that and drill for the new dowel. Now, to drill the new holes for the pegs, I need to know exact spaces. And by observation, they look like they use the same spacing throughout. So I got these with it's got 2 old pegs already installed, and I took the measurements from center of spaces to center of spaces. I transfer into a piece of oak. Now I have, and I drill the holes. Now I have the exact spacing that I need to start re-drilling everything. So if I put it out here on the old hole, I marked with a little bit of purple ink, and I installed this jig that I made for this exact spacing, and I look to center the purple ink into the hole. When I don't see any wood, just see the purple. And you can drill the new hole, and it's already on the right angle because it's got to follow the angle of the existing peg. So that way it's going to help me into the drilling the new holes into the new piece of wood that I installed out here. And that'll help tremendously. So it's just a piece of wood that I'm going to be using for a jig. Now with the jig that I just built installed and centered, I can drill the new hole and it's a one thing that you need to know also when you do this type of restoration. The old peg, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the hole, so you'll feel the the end of the peg, when you drill it, all of a sudden it jumps in. So that means that you already drilled through the old peg. There. There. Okay, perfect center. Now the new stud is ready to be installed. This is where I didn't know how far and the angle of it. So I know this all I have horizontally to the floor. So I'm going to put it here through the center of this dowel. It is existing, and scribe a line that is 90 degrees to this edge. So when I put the new jig, I'm going to put the jig through half, exactly on the center of that line. If you look down through the drilling jig, and I'm going to put a scribe, so I know the center of this is going to be right here. All right. So that way I'm going to build something out here to reattach the jig firmly to here. Put something, and so the jig doesn't dance around, and then re-drill. I steady this jig that I built in just a piece of oak with a couple of holes that are supposed to match the rest of the chair, and I clamp it perpendicular to the bench, and I put this piece of oak on the outside and clamp it to keep the to keep the jig from moving around. So now using that same jig, I will start drilling the hole for the new dowel that we're going to install underneath the wood. Now I can take that jig out. Reclamp. I see more or less how deep that is on the original one. Put tape out there. Okay. Perfect. So we have one rail already refinished. Okay, now that we drill and put new dowels, there was unusual size dowels. There were 7/16 dowels, not half-inch, not a 3/8, but somewhere in between 7/16. So I went to buy a big old dowel and Sandra and I cut it to fit 2 inches each. I put it all together. The spacing on the dowels was just great. I had no problems with that. I have one that went to go a little bit tight, but I used a rubber mallet and I drove it in. Then I put this band out here to crank it down with this handle here. And crank it down with this handle right here to get it as tight as possible. It's kind of tight, but they keep it together because it's not shaped to be put in clamps. Now, here wasn't quite square, so I had to put another clamp out here to square it out. So the rocking part of the chair, you know, the rocking feet of the chair will fit. Otherwise it wouldn't fit right. But anyways, it's not very tight. It's just to talk about fine-tuning it. So now it's going to be like that till tomorrow morning. And that should do it. But I couldn't put the camera on when I put it together because I had to hurry up and get it all together. So one feature that I had, I put this front part of the chair, I put it upside down. It's identical from both sides. The only difference is they use this little rabbit out here and the original chair to get the upholstery in there, but the way we had it was all covered up out here, so this doesn't make any difference. And since it was busted on the top and not on the bottom, I switch it upside down so they can hold more weight, or the original weight, I should say. So that way the pressure is that way, and they won't try to pop out from these. These are inserts that I built out here. I made out of ash, white ash. So they should be strong enough and newer enough so the wood wouldn't be over dry and they crack. You know, probably last another 60 years. If somebody doesn't lift the chair and throw it or try to do things with this chair that is not meant to be. But other than that, it's going to be okay. Now, after I get it all back together, I'm going to put some reinforcements at the edges here and then screw it. So that way, the ones they had, it was very small, very thin, about ½ inch. And they were nailed, 2 nails, and not even glued. So I'm going to build some reinforcements that will keep the dowel from breaking and coming loose. Several places, like in here, on this, I use polyurethane glue, which is spray a little bit of water or just get a damp cloth and rub it against the wood before you put the glue, and then apply the wood to both surfaces and put it together. And it builds a amount of pressure. See here I use polyurethane glue and it bubbles out like this because it starts building pressure and heat when it glues. But it's supposed to be a better glue and it holds a lot more. So we'll see. I just wanted to do certain places like this here. You know, these inserts that I put that hold better. That's all. Alright guys, I'll bring you back when I start building the corners. Now it's going to stay like that overnight. It's laminating some oak that I had, some scraps, and I laminated in the form that the grain goes vertical out here and horizontal out here, and then vertical again. The reason for that is going to make the corner blocks, and while making the corner blocks I don't want them to split, and I had to make it as strong as I can. You know, the chairs get a lot of use and abuse many times, and if you turn the corner blocks a little bit it might split. So that's the reason I laminated these corner blocks. You can see here the lamination. Now after the glue is dry, we'll sculpt it to fit the corners and uneven corners on that chair. So I'll bring you back to that too. There, I had to make a pattern on how am I going to cut the corner block. So with a little piece of wood, I would just put it out here and trace around it, and that way will give me a pattern on how am I going to cut the corner block. And I will transfer these patterns once I cut it and I fit it and make sure everything fits nice and snug, and I would transfer in one of those blocks that I already built. So I cut them purposely outside the line out here because I can readjust that side. Okay, let's go. This corner bolt fits very nicely. So now I have to translate this pattern to the blocks that I already cut before. They're prepared before. They're laminated in a cross pattern. So that way we got the grain going this way on one layer, the grain going that way, another layer, and the final layer, the grain going that way. So that way I'm sure it's not going to split in the future. I will sand a little bit of it right here, a very little bit. It's going to fit. It's almost perfect. I'm going to sand it up a little bit up here to close a little gap there, in it front and back. Okay, one more time. See if it needs any further adjustment. Yep, a little bit in the center of this curve. Let's check it out again. I don't want to do too much at a time because that way. Well, now you see I already started the corner blocks. They're laminated to prevent cracking and to increase the thickness of the. I glued them with polyurethane glue. The one you need to add a little bit of moisture. What I do is I rub the surfaces with a moist rag and then apply the glue and I apply the clamp. You can see how it bubbles up when it's setting up, when it's curing. And you can then flake those bubbles with a putty knife or scraper or whatever you have. There you go. Blocks. They're thick and they're laminated. So you got long grain with long grain most of the time. But anyways, I want you to see that. So the chair is coming around. It's all put back together, and I already give a little bit of tint because when the factory, the original, had a red tint to it. So what I did is put somewhere in general finish. It's a water-safe dye stain, and I picked up the the Empire Red, which it matches the color of the chair when it was new. So after I got everything evened up, I sanded a little bit and evened up, I will apply one thin coat of that finish and put some shellac on top of it with a rug. No spray shellac, none of that stuff. I apply shellac, I break it down. Shellac is a 2-to-1 or something like that. It's 2 parts of alcohol and 1 part of shellac, because otherwise it's too thick to apply with the rug. And that. Now I'm inserting a couple of screws in each corner to prevent delamination over time. Delamination. Also, I'm installing a couple of screws to each of the sides. There are 4 screws in each corner block to prevent the rocking and movement of the chair from forever again. So after this done, the chair should last quite a bit of time. Let me see. I had to pick up the crimson, because this is all hand job. I had to pick up the right screws for the right job. And I'm going to make sure that I got the screws long enough. This is too long. And this is a little bit too short. So if it's too short, what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the depth. The depth of the hole. So that way I can make the screw reach where I want it to reach. Things like that. Now it's just some cleaning up, some sanding, and some staining, and then I finish it up. It's supposed to be good enough. Okay, I just give it a lightly sanded finish to finish it and break the surface and get rid of the dirt and dust and what? No, I lightly sanding and clean it out with a damp rag to get rid of all the dust. And I'm now going to refinish this area here and the side rails on the front and back rails because it's going to be covered with upholstery. I am trying to bring a little bit of luster to the whole chair. After I dye it all the same color, equalize the color because there was some dull brown and some red and some reddish and some yellowish wood, and then there was also I used the dye to equalize the color of the whole chair. Now I'm using some clear gloss water-based polyurethane. It's not meant to be applied like these with a rug, but I water it down a little bit and I apply it with a rag and a very thin layer. And I think that's what's doing it did the job. If you look at it, they got a little sheen, but not exaggerated sheen, like it would be if I put it thick with a brush. So this is a good way to finish more or less what it was originally. So this is ready to reinstall the upholstery. I won't do it because I don't know how to do the upholstery, but you guys need to imagine with the upholstery, the way they did it, they went away from putting the upholstery the way it was in the factory. They wrapped it around the rails. I guess that's what they do it. They damage the wood to a point, they crack it. This wood is older and it's very dry, so when you drive those thickened staples and tacks, they crack the wood at the ends, and that's what led to replacing an insert here. I had to cut the rail, the corner of the rail, and put some inserts, and then inserts were made out of ash wood because I didn't want to put oak or something like that. It's too brittle. Okay, ash is hard and it's not brittle like oak. But the corner blocks, I made it out of, like you saw before, I made it out of oak and laminated oak, so it won't crack. And then I put 4 screws on each corner and holding it together. So I put all new dowels. The whole chair got new dowels, including the skids for the rocking skids, I should say. But other than that, it came out very nicely. The way it was too beat up. So this one was a gift for his mother, the customer, mother's gift. So he has sentimental value. Otherwise, I don't think I would have spent that much effort. You can see here, I had to put another insert. Out here on where it was cracked. The wood was cracked and behind the repair, it had cracked several places. So the easiest and practical way to do is cut and install an insert in there, which it turned out to be okay. I don't bother in dyeing and polishing and finishing these side rails because it's going to be covered with the fabric of the upholstery. Okay, I think you had a good enough explanation how to restore a piece of furniture to the original shape, at least the woodwork. the finishing, and just to finish to the original color after it's sanded a little bit and find out what the original color was. And that kind of reddish, mahogany-ish type of color. And the reupholstery is not going to be original, obviously, because they already had split sheets out of the rails out here, but it's going to have to cover that. Alright. Thank you very much.